All right, cuz, let's check in with one of our favorite sponsors, Sport Displays Jersey Mount. The Sport Displays Jersey Mount are the easiest and most affordable way to proudly show off your favorite jersey, uniform, sweater, t-shirt, or costume. With its unique design, Sport Display Jersey Mounts are the only hangers on the market that can be mounted to any surface. This allows for easy access to your favorite jersey on game day by simply snapping the rod into or out of the holder. You've got yourself an Anthony Mantha jersey, you want to hang it up. If you have a Steve Yzerman jersey, and if Tampa Bay wins the Stanley Cup, he not only is a great executive, you want to hang up his Detroit Red Wing jersey in your office, simply snap the jersey mount on and off. It's easy to use. The jersey mount really adds to any man cave. Sport Display jersey mounts are affordable, easy to install. They can be mounted anywhere to both wall or ceiling. If you want, go to jerseymount.com/Detroit-sports-podcast and get a jersey mount and get 5% off. Visit jerseymount.com and check out a really great product that really adds to any man cave. jerseymount.com, get 5% off.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listening to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
All I want to know is you got your popcorn ready. Do you got your popcorn ready?
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong then.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Darren McCarty gets his shots in at Claude Lemieux. And look who came all the way out to try to help. Patrick Waugh. Oh, my goodness.
You are listening to the Doc and Jock Show on the Detroit Sports Podcast.
Here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher, the demolition, walking disaster, pain and destruction is all in the name.
DetroitSportsPodcast.com presents to you the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my favorite co-host who promises episode 91 will be the best podcast yet, my cousin, Adam the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz? What's going down?
Greatest podcast ever coming into your ear holes right now. It's going to be outstanding. I have so many thoughts about the freaking disaster that was the Lions draft. I got beat up by Twitter from all the Lions slappies all week long. Everybody sitting there talking smack to me Thursday all the way to freaking Tuesday. It's been horrible. Horrible. I'm going to set everybody straight. I'm going to tell you all how it should have went down. I'm going to tell you all what it could have been. And I'm going to sit there and point out the flaws and every mistake Martin Mayhew and his stupid little brain trust in Honolulu Blue made.
Why?
Because
I know. I can't
they
wait.
suck.
I can't wait to hear why you thought this NFL draft for the Lions was subpar. I can state for the record, I kind of disagree with you. So this is going to lead to an interesting debate because I, on the other hand, thought the draft went pretty well. Lots of things for us to talk about regarding the Lions draft on this podcast. We're also going to get into some of the issues of our Detroit Tigers. Not all things have been rosy this last week. Some things have come up that have kind of been concerning to us fans and to everybody that's been watching, and we're going to break some things down with the Detroit Tigers. Also, we're going to play a round of Jock Jams, and we're going to chat Tigers and Red Wings with Jeff Deacon from the Detroit Sports Nation. All that in episode 91 of the Detroit Sports Podcast. You ready to kick this bad boy off?
Yes, it's like we're bursting at the seams right now.
All right, I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm going to let you spew. I know you've been waiting for almost a week to tell us why the Detroit Lions 2015 draft was disappointing. You have the floor. Do tell.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's start off with the trade. I thought that, and this is where I think a lot of Detroit fans and a lot of the media kind of gets blindsided by everything because the trade to move back with the Broncos was outstanding. They got a king's ransom moving back only 5 places. They picked up an extra 5th-round pick this year, picked up an extra 5th-round pick next year. They've got a guard and a center combo in Manny Ramirez. So they sat there and they helped address their offensive line right off the rip. They moved back 5 spots, didn't lose anything, and they end up picking up extra 5th-round picks, which are awesome because those can either then be packaged or you can add and fill holes depending on what the draft's looking like. Then the 28th pick rolls around, and the Lions have this love affair with ACC players. I swear to God, first-round ACC talent makes absolutely 0 sense to me whatsoever unless your name's Kelvin frickin' Johnson. It's the only time it's allowed. They go ahead and they draft Tomlinson. You reach. You don't even draft, you reach for a guard. In the first round, if you are drafting players and you want to take an offensive lineman, that's fine. But make sure that he's at least an offensive tackle who may project to a guard, but can at least play right tackle for you. Instead, you go out and you get, what was he, the number 1 rated guard out there? They said he was the 3rd best offensive lineman, according to Mike Mayock. Whatever. It's still a reach. There's so much more talent out there that you could go out and get. Then you follow that up. In the second round, you take Abdullah, who wasn't even the best running back in the Big Ten. All right? He's a little guy who has fumble problems, and he's a 3rd down back. He's not even an every down back, right? This guy, he can't even be out there for the majority of the snaps. He's one of those guys you're going to sit there and you're going to give him bubble screens and toss him the ball, and hopefully he can hit you a long run if he doesn't drop the ball. Then in the 4th round, you come back and you give away a 3rd-round pick next year. I don't know about you guys, but good teams take those 3rd-round picks and they get starters out of them. Instead, the Lions are trading a 3rd round for a 4th round so they can then address their defensive tackle issues. Even if they did what I wanted them to do, they'd already had their defensive tackle addressed. Then you take your 5th-round pick, you have bonus 5th-round picks. You take those and you package them all up and you trade up. So now you're giving away picks when you've got holes all over the place. And then your 7th-round pick was underwhelming in college, and you're going to expect him to be a rotational tackle? Are you serious? This is insane. What they did was awful. And I think probably the biggest issue I take with it is their 7th-round pick. Because at that time in the draft, you have a guy like La'el Collins just sitting out there. I don't care if he murdered 6 baby mamas. I don't care. Can he play? I know they want character guys, but can he play? Instead, you sit there and you blow your 7th-round pick. When you draft somebody in the 7th round, do you know what you expect from them?
Not much.
Nothing. You hope to catch lightning in a bottle. You hope you get something. You hope you get a guy like a Willie Young. Willie Young was the essential 7th-round pick. A guy who they sat there, took a chance on. They kind of developed, brought him along slowly. Turned out he was an okay player. He became a rotational defensive end. He ended up moving on to Chicago, where he now starts. Perfect 7th-round pick. That's what you're hoping for. You have a guy like La'el Collins just sitting out there. The guy's a top 15 pick in this draft, just sitting there. And you pass on him for some guy out of South Carolina who was awful in college. You're expecting him to now somehow help out on that offensive line? In which way? How? You could have got your starting either right tackle, possibly a starting left tackle. If anything, you've got an instant guard that you just plug in and you play with. And instead you say, no, it's okay. You let this guy then go to free agency where now he gets his pick of where he wants to go play. Instead of just snatching him up and saying, hey, we own your rights. We'll give you a contract. As long as you didn't murder anybody, it's going to be A-okay. You just let him walk out the door. And now everybody and their mother has an opportunity at him. He's sitting in the best spot ever because he gets to pick which team he wants to play for. And everybody wants him. Everybody in the league wants him. Freaking you got Rex Ryan flying him in or flying out to Baton Rouge to sit there and go eat crawfish with him. And the best part about Rex Ryan is he just shows up in a t-shirt and freaking cargo shorts. Like, that guy does not care, looking extra sloppy. This is just insane the way they did this. They just let great value slip through their fingers. Great value.
And then just to pick some scabs, I know. Now, I agree with you, the trade back was a great move. But Denver took Shane Ray with the 23rd pick. And right now, by all accounts on the defensive line, Ziggy Ansah is the only premier pass rusher. So you could have bolstered the defensive line.
You mean Jason Jones isn't premier enough for you? Come on, bro.
No, so you could have taken Shane Ray at that pick. And then I know once the Patriots took Malcolm Brown, your head must have exploded because you probably wanted him to be the guy drafted in the first round.
It's self combusted. Like, I set my entire house on fire. I had to call the Hamtramck Fire Department to come put my house out and save my neighbor's 3 houses down. It was insane. Here, you know what? This is what I did for you. This is exactly what I did for you, all right? Because I'm a good guy like that. And I just want to prove, I want you to listen to what I would have drafted if I was Martin Mayhew. And I want you to tell me if there's not more value in my draft, if I did not address more needs than what the Lions did in their draft.
So Detroit Sports Podcast listeners, this is the revised 2015 NFL draft for the Detroit Lions, according to The Jock.
All right, let me set a couple guidelines too. All right, I basically took it from the moment that they moved back, when they sat there and they acquired that extra 5th round pick. That's where I did this from. My first overall pick after moving back. All right, mind you, I've just addressed offensive guard, possibly center, depending on if Travis Swanson's going to work out or not. If he doesn't work out, I could always move him to guard. Manny Ramirez is now my starting guard. It doesn't matter. I've addressed it with the trade, is the way I'm looking at this, right? I don't care if Manny Ramirez is great or if he's a shell of the player he used to be. He will, for this offensive line, he will definitely fill in, and he'll be an upgrade to what we had. So at 28, I'm taking Malcolm Brown, defensive tackle. So now I've addressed my defensive line, because that's barren, because I just had 3 guys walk out the door. I've just given up 20 overall sacks for the course of the year. Round 2, I'm either taking Quentin Rollins, who's a cornerback, so now I've addressed my cornerback, or if, depending on what's going on with Collins at that time, I might take a chance on Collins. It depends on what kind of information you were getting. It's obvious that the information the NFL was receiving and that everybody was receiving from the NFL on Collins, it's bad news. So I'm going to take Quentin Rollins, and I'm going to make a safe pick. So now I've addressed defense. Now I've got another cornerback in there who can probably start right off rip. I'm going to come back in my 3rd round, and I'm going to take David Johnson, who's a running back. Remember, Abdullah's gone, all right? David Johnson ends up going to the Cardinals, who drafted 2 picks before you. Chances are they're probably looking at Abdullah, picking him up. David Johnson falls down. So now you have a running back who's an every down back who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got better hands than Abdullah. Doesn't have the home run speed that he has, but he's got good hands, and he's an every down back. He's a guy that you can plug in and play all the time. I then follow that up in the 5th round, and we had talked about this. Do the Lions get a quarterback to sit there and maybe push Matthew Stafford? Push some of these guys who are behind Matthew Stafford to maybe push him a little bit further. So I take Brett Hundley, because he's there. He's just hanging out. Why not? If things don't work with Matthew Stafford, you now have another guy, because I don't know about you, but Dan Orlovsky doesn't do it for me. And the other guy from Boise State doesn't do it for me. He's so awful, I can't even remember his name right now. All right? The guy's got a freaking vagina for an arm. It's awful. So I go pick up Brett Hundley. I've got my quarterback of possibly the future. I've got my guy who's going to sit there and push Matthew Stafford. And I'm going to let my genius offensive coordinator get a hold of him, and hopefully he can do something with him. And I'm going to let my quarterback guru maybe sit there and fiddle with him, and maybe they can produce some type of great starter out of Brett Hundley. I don't know. Staying in the 5th round, Michael Bennett's still there. He doesn't go until the 6th round. He's still there. That's a great talent for your defensive tackle. You've just now added 2 monsters to your defensive line. 2 savages. Savages. Animals. Guys who will devour people's faces. Mind you, you just lost probably the greatest Spartan warrior to ever sit there and wear Honolulu blue ever, because Ndamukong Suh was an animal. That guy was cut from a different cloth. He should have been in the movie 300 for sure. The guy was just insane. He was trying to rip Jake Delhomme's head off before Jake Delhomme ever died. Incredible. I then followed that up in my 6th round with either Quaytron Diggs. Everybody's really high on him. They say he's got a lot of potential. He could be something really outstanding. So I'm okay with that pick. That pick doesn't bother me. Or they needed a wide receiver. So Darren Waller, who's like 6'6", he's an ACC player. He comes out of Georgia Tech, just like your boy Calvin. He's supposed to be like a Calvin duplicate. It's like ginormous, right? So imagine flanking him out and flanking Calvin out, and then you've got all your guys on the inside in the slot, and you're just gonna basically have those 2 dudes run go patterns. It opens up everything underneath. Why not do something like this? Gives you another huge target on the outside. So I'd go 1 of 2 ways there. And then my 7th round, I would do anything but draft who they took in the 7th round. At that point, I'm taking Collins if Collins is still there. If Collins isn't there, and the reports that you're getting is that he sat there, he chokeslammed his ex-baby mama, sat there, put the baby in a microwave, turned it on, and watched it explode. He did horrible, heinous things. If that's the report that you're getting, I'm then looking at Lawrence Gibson, who's an offensive tackle, or I'm looking at Trenton Brown, who's an offensive guard. So now I've come back and I've got this draft I've picked up 2 guys from my offensive line. I've picked up 2 guys from my defensive line. I picked up my running back I was looking for. I picked up possibly my future quarterback, and I've addressed possibly wide receiver or cornerback twice. I mean, there's more value here. All right, the guys that I picked up in the 7th round, the 6th and the 7th round, were projected to go in the 6th round. So you're getting extra talent. And if you pick up Collins in the 7th round, he's a first-round pick. Brown's a first-round pick. All these guys are first-round. Michael Bennett was supposed to be a first-round pick. You got him in the 5th round in my draft. What are you doing? You know? Quentin Rollins, he's a 2nd-round guy. That's fine. Quatron Diggs, he's supposed to be possibly a 6th-round guy. That's fine. Huntley was supposed to go probably in the 3rd round. You're picking him up in the 5th. David Johnson was projected as high as a 2nd-round pick. You got him in the 3rd. There's more value, and you address more needs, and you're deeper along all of these fronts that you are totally empty on. What they did was they played it extremely safe, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. If you want to play it safe, that's fine. You want to get character guys, that's okay. But you need to get value, and you need to get immediate impact starters, especially in your first 3 picks. Your first 3 rounds, those guys have to play. And I don't see what they've got going on as actually playing. I don't see Abdullah being a starter. I don't. I see him coming in certain packages and helping out. You know, I don't see. I guess Tomlinson's got to play, right? He's a first-round pick, and they're short on guard, so he's got to play. He has to be there. I don't know what they do with their cornerbacks because I don't know if any of those guys are going to play unless it's in a nickel or a dime package. It doesn't make sense. The way that they picked and the way that they drafted, it boggles my mind. It's insane because I just feel like they left so much more talent out there that they didn't even bother to address. It's like constant missteps, one after another. And that's probably the most frustrating part. Then when you sit there and you talk to fans online and on Twitter, everybody's looking at you like you're an idiot because they're like, what are you talking about? This guy's great. According to Mike Mayock, this guy's a savage. That's great. That's outstanding. I don't really care what Mike Mayock says. I really like Mike Mayock, but I don't care because I'm looking at what the needs are of this team. I know what this team needs. Mike Mayock doesn't know what this team needs. Mike Mayock doesn't watch these guys 16 weeks out of the year. I do. You do. Everybody who's a Detroit fan does. Not Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock might get a Thursday game where he's got to make some comments after sitting there reading a press release. That's what he does. So when Mike Mayock says, oh, well, they kind of needed guard help because, they're kind of short there. This is a really good pick. I have him rated really, really high. Mike, it's the 1st round. Unless he's an offensive tackle, you're not drafting an offensive lineman. Not when you got a defensive tackle out there who can come in and be a rotational starter, possibly supplanting the guy that you sat there and you picked up off the Saints. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, if you're expecting great things out of him, you better look again. I mean, that guy filled in part-time, and he did an okay job, but he's no Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown's projected to sit there and just be a monster in this league, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's angry because he sat there and he fell to 32. So he's upset. He wants to play. He wants to eat guys like Matt Stafford for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Instead, you got a guy like Tomlinson who wants to go be a doctor, be a neurosurgeon. That's great. I'm extremely happy that you're super smart, bro. Extremely happy. But you don't strike me as that dude. That guy that I want to sit there and blow my 1st-round pick on.
I think that's the longest I've sat and listened without chiming in on a podcast. I feel for you because you really are not happy with what the Lions did.
I'm just upset, man. I feel like they left so much talent out there.
Okay, now we have to kind of take a step back, chill out, relax. Let's take an in-depth look at the guys that they actually did draft. And you can kind of tell now that the new team in the draft room with Jim Caldwell and Lombardi has obviously made an impact on the draft strategy. They addressed need, they got talent, they got the talent that they felt would fit their system in terms of 1, character, 2, ability to get on the field sooner rather than later, and 3, can be impactful. So I understand completely where you're coming from, where you're looking at, okay, what could we have gotten? But let's just take a look at what we did get. Laken Tomlinson, arguably one of the best highly rated guards in the draft.
Extremely intelligent.
And what we said we needed in the 1st-round pick was someone that could come in and start. This dude, obviously, day 1, is going to be on the field. He's going to be slotted as a starter. Big physical guard. He did not give up a sack in the last 2 seasons that he played in the ACC. Now, granted, not the greatest conference. I understand that. But this is a guy that I think once Caldwell and Mayhew and the guys in the room rated him, they wanted him on the Lions. He's a smart offensive lineman. that he can be on the roster for the next 5 to 10 years, and he's a safe pick. This is a guy that's going to be productive, and he's going to be able to protect Matthew Stafford and help continue to develop this power run game that we're going to explore a little bit later on. Okay, so now we both said it. The Lions offense is going to closely resemble New Orleans. So who's the guy that you feel like is going to need to fill that Darren Sproles, Reggie Bush type? They thought and they looked and they chose Nebraska running back Amir Abdullah. Now, the part that's challenging is this is not an every down typical running back. This is going to be the guy that's going to be used as a Darren Sproles, as a Reggie Bush. He's going to be a guy that he's a change
of pace guy. And you blow a second-round pick on him when you've got gaping holes on your defensive end, in your defensive line, and you've got gaping holes on your offensive line.
I don't think he's a change of back.
Cornerbacks are weak.
I disagree that he's a change of pace back. I think this is a guy that can be used effectively in the screen game. This is a guy that has explosive speed, has football speed. I know people were a little bit weary about the 4.6 40 time, but this is a guy that can elude tacklers in the screen game. This is a guy that can be shifty. This is a guy that has made improvements with his issues with fumbling. I know his first season at Nebraska, he fumbled roughly 9 to 10 times. And as he progressed as a sophomore, junior, senior, he worked on that, and he only fumbled a few times last year.
Can I give you a little bit of insight on how big this guy really is?
Go ahead.
I'm 5'8" and 3/4. He's a quarter of an inch taller than me. I weigh 210 pounds. I'm 5 pounds heavier than this guy.
You are heavier than Amir Abdullah?
Yes.
Classic.
Yes. And he's got 8-inch hands, dude. He's a little guy. He can hardly hold on to a football.
Okay, one more time. What are your stats again? What are your stats?
I'm 5'8" and 3/4. I love how you're tweeting this out. I'm 210 pounds.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. No,
seriously, his hands aren't much bigger than my hands. And I don't have really big hands. I've got fat, stubby little sausage fingers on the end of these things. If I take a packet of Jimmy Dean sausages for breakfast and I slap my fingers over the top of them, it's like camouflage. You can't tell what's what. You're like, are those sausages or are those your fingers? Nah, bro, those are my fingers. They're all fat and sausage-like. That's what this guy's working with, man. He can't hold on to a damn football. Not when they're playing not when they're playing with grown-ass men who want to sit there and rip your arm and your head off. You know,
so you don't see Abdullah being a successful piece in this offense, trying to, run the ball, trying to be effective in the screen game, trying to, change the offense from Stafford throwing 40 times to be a little bit more balanced. I think in combination with Joique Bell and Theo Riddick, I think Amir Abdullah is going to be a good fit. Now, yes, I think he's going to take a little bit more time to develop, but he will see the field in this first season. I just think that Joique Bell is going to be the bruiser, and this guy is going to be the guy that gets...
What's the percentage amount of plays that he gets on the field?
I say Joique Bell gets 60%, and he gets 30 to 40%.
Where's Theo Riddick fitting in?
I see Theo Riddick as the true situational guy, the guy that you bring in on third down or in situations where you want to spell the other two. I think Amir Abdullah can be the solid number 2 first season.
How many?
35 to 40%.
For a second round pick, especially when you've got gaping holes on your... Because they don't even come back to address the defensive line until the 4th round. That blows my mind. Especially when you got a dude like Malcolm Brown who's sitting out there. Remember when we started, when we were talking draft talk way early, right after the season? You were all about Malcolm Brown. You were like, this guy's great. And everybody else was like, this guy's great. He fit in perfect.
For whatever reason, he slipped down the board for teams. I don't know if he's going to be as productive with other teams as he's going to be in New England. That's a perfect fit for him, and I think he's going to produce right away. But I don't know, would he have been as good as a fit here in the Lions? And I think that's why the Lions didn't draft him. I really believe Jim Caldwell and Joe Lombardi had a lot more influence in the meeting room this time around than before. And I
agree with that totally. You can see that all over this draft.
You can see it, and
all over the draft. I just think Malcolm Brown as your first pick, then you might have even been able to get, if you coveted Tomlinson that much, you thought he was that good, and you thought he was that next piece that you needed on that offensive line, he probably was going to be there in the 2nd round. I was sitting there looking at the top 100 where they had all these players ranked out. He was I think he was 58. So you're drafting in the 54th spot. So if everything was to play true to form, which it never does, but he was going to slip. He was going to fall into that 2nd round. And if you still thought he was that good of a pick, why don't you just move up? You got those extra 5th round picks. Package those up and move up if you thought he was that great. You obviously had no problem moving up on the 2nd day of the draft, just doling out picks, handing out 3rd rounders like they're going out of style, like they don't count for anything. Like you don't get starters with 3rd round picks ever. And you don't need starters all up and down this defense and offense. Come on, man.
Okay, I threw out a couple tweets to our followers at Detroit Podcast. Here's a couple things. Here's a couple themes that I've gotten as well from a lot, and I'm going to read the two best ones. At Ultimate Lions Fans tweeted us exactly what I expected from Caldwell. He filled the holes with guys that will do the job. It was huge to repair the offensive line. And then when we kind of critique Amir Abdullah and his size and his speed, a lot of people have sent me this, and this one kind of encapsulates it. At RNO Elks 2225 tweets us, Barry Sanders was 5'8" and 203 pounds during his playing days.
Barry Sanders was a monster, though.
A lot of people
had tree trunks for thighs.
A lot of people, when I said Amir Abdullah, the fumbles, the point that I noticed quickly was the 4.6 40 time. I was like, that's a little bit slow. That's not really good for a running back. And in the second round, a lot of people said, and a lot of people tweeted us, Barry Sanders was that size. And a lot of people are comparing Amir Abdullah to Barry Sanders, and that follow us on Twitter. What do you think about that?
Did Barry Sanders have fumble problems in college?
No.
Exactly. You know what? This is what I'm going to tell you. This is what's exactly going to happen. He's going to get out there. He's going to see the field. He's going to look real good his first game or two, and then he's going to just start spilling the ball everywhere. You know how hard it is to see the field when you start dropping the ball every time you turn around? What was one of the biggest complaints everybody had about Reggie Bush? Reggie Bush dropped the ball all the time. He ended up turning it over. You can't see the field when you're dropping the ball and turning it over. You don't see it. It's like a blown second-round pick. I'm already calling it. It's a blown second-round pick. He hasn't even taken one snap yet, and I'm already saying it's blown.
In your mind, second-round pick bust. Okay, let's just talk for a second about the third-round pick and the fourth-round pick.
Sure, let's discuss.
The Stanford cornerback, Alex Carter, in a cornerback.
Another very intelligent guy.
Yep, intelligent guy. A factor that I'm happy with. He's a 6'1" corner.
Yes, he's big.
He can potentially be a safety down the line, but he's got good instincts. The question mark is going to be, in this division with great wide receivers, can he be a guy that can be a pure man-to-man cover guy? Not exactly sure as of yet, but I think in his first season, he's going to see the field a lot, like you said, on third down and nickelback situations, and I think he's going to be productive, make some plays. You needed to address the issues at corner, and I feel like they got the guy that can fit this system with Terrell Austin. Remember, Terrell Austin is a guy that took some talent last season and made them very productive and turned this defense into the number 2 ranked defense. And I think with a guy like Alex Carter, remember, cornerbacks and players in the secondary take a little bit more time. So this player is not going to be a player you're going to see significantly in his first season be as productive. But I think with some development and with some experience in this defense, I think he can be a corner that can be productive down the line. And the 4th-round pick, Gabe Wright, oh man, he is really super fast, sideline to sideline, can make some key plays. When you watch the film on him, this guy can get to the running back quickly. He can close in, he can make plays, and he can be an addition to this defensive line. So overall, I understand what you're saying where you can compare who they did not get, but the guys they got fill needs, and I understand right now the Lions did something that I believe they needed to address in this draft. They got better talent, they got players that can fit this system, and they got players that can get on the field this season. Remember, last year's first-round pick, Ebron, did not do well. But you still have Van Noy, you still have other players that were drafted that are going to come back this year and be part of the rotation. So I really believe that the draft strategy with Martin Mayhew and with the guys in the room has improved. While yes, you may be right down the line 3-4 years from now, and when it all shakes out, it may be that these guys aren't as good as the other guys. But I believe that for what we're trying to do with our offense and defense, I believe we got players that, with proper coaching, have potential to be really productive players in what we're trying to do. So I'm really happy. When the draft kind of shook out, I was like, wow, okay. The only question mark for me was the fullback. I mean, okay, Mike Burton out of Rutgers. I understand in the offense that New Orleans runs, you need a fullback to kind of help your running backs out, help 3rd and 1. They go back to the Dallas game, 3rd and 1. You pass the ball twice. They don't want to do that this year. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit regarding can the Lions actually run an offense, a smash mouth offense, and take the pressure off of Stafford. But overall, my opinion of the draft, I gave it a grade of a B+. The only reason why I didn't go into an A is a point that you made. I really felt like if they would have drafted Lionel Collins, they could have gotten a guy in the 6th, 7th round with lots of value. He's still an unrestricted free agent as we speak, but he has taken the tours now. And he says, And I thought that this is something the Lions should have kind of looked into. He says he has an airtight alibi, that everything checks out, that he doesn't have any issues. And this is a point I want to kind of segue into is, should the Lions be taking such squeaky clean guys? I mean, you need a couple thugs on your team. This isn't Pop Warner. This isn't flag football. This is NFL professional football. You need some smash mouth guys. You might need a guy like a Shane Ray. You might need a guy like a Lionel Collins on your team to reach its potential. And yes, they've been burned in the past, but in my opinion, I'm not exactly comfortable with the squeaky clean image that the Lions are drafting at this point in time.
I want to go back to those middle 3 picks. I don't really have a problem with the 3rd and 4th rounders. I was more upset with what they could have gotten in the 3rd round and what they gave up to get the 4th round pick. But talking about your fullback, so I was reading the newspaper the other day, and I seen this in this nice little piece that Dave Burkett wrote, talking about how where Martin Mayhew seen him, where he fell in love with him. So Burton played 631 snaps for Rutgers last year, according to Pro Football Focus, earning the website's highest production grade for any fullback in the FBS. He finished the season with 1 carry for 2 yards. He averaged 10 yards per catch on 15 receptions. And Lombardi said the Lions assistant head coach Ron Price, who was Rutgers' offensive coordinator in 2013, gave a positional report on Burton as a player. So this guy caught 15 passes and had 1 carry last year.
This is bad.
631 snaps. Dude, that guy doesn't even touch the ball 2% of the time. Seriously? You took a 5th round pick on that? You took a 5th round pick on that, and you could have had a guy like Michael Bennett. Seriously? The hell are you doing? Try to spin that and tell me that this draft is good. Getting back into like not picking squeaky clean guys or picking only squeaky clean guys. You're right. Every now and then you need a guy who's a little bit angry, who's a little bit edgy, who's a little bit, I don't want to say walks the line. Look at your boy Ndamukong Suh. That guy would walk right up to the line, pull his penis out, piss all over it, and say, yep, there's your line. Come get some. That's what he would do. Every now and then you need a guy like that. You don't want a whole team full of marshmallows and cream puffs. Those dudes are soft. You need dudes who are hard, angry, who want to sit there and show you what's up. That's what you want, man. You need that. Yeah, you absolutely need that.
I bet you on plane rides home, instead of gambling, playing cards, playing poker for big money, they're all reading. They're all sitting there sleeping, listening to relaxing jazz music on their iPhones and iPods. This is really a team that is kind of, choir boys. Detroit choir boys.
Like, excuse me, Amir, did you read in The Atlantic this week on what's going on with President Obama and his stance on gay marriage? This is unbelievably great stuff. You should probably read this article. And Amir's like, Lakin, I think you're right. I really find what President Obama has done in his last 8 years to be incredible. Not only is he sitting there moving on the plight of the black man as the president of the United States, he's also doing great things for gays and all the homosexuals and everybody else who flies the rainbow flag. I think this is outstanding. What? You need to be playing spades, bro. Play spades. Play dice. Do something. Be edgy. Listen to some freaking Tupac. Something. Mind you, none of those are my stances on anything. I'm just playing a game here, going along with it, so don't take it serious.
Let's invite Coach Caldwell over for some tea and break down some film.
Crumpets, anyone? Crumpets? Like what? Get the hell out of here. Hey, but really, what does this draft say about how the Lions feel about this team? What does it more specifically say about what they feel about Matthew Stafford? I mean, they went out and they loaded up on the offensive line. They brought in a bunch of pieces. I don't know if I've ever seen this many pieces brought in for an offensive line or made moves to bring in pieces like this. Just every time you turn around, I mean, they brought 3 guys in this draft alone, picking up Manny Ramirez, Tomlinson, and Robinson. So, and then they sit there and they add another running back to the deal as well. On top of that, a fullback. So basically 5 pieces in this draft for Matthew Stafford. Can Matthew Stafford get the job done? Does he not have the ability to get the job done? I mean, how many more tools does this guy need?
No, I agree. I think that when you look at the big picture, Matthew Stafford throwing the ball 40 to 50 times is not going to be a successful formula. So right now the Lions are going to try and shift the focus a little bit and to use the B word. They want to be more balanced as an offense, which means, when you looked at the running game last season, abysmal. Reggie Bush had an awful season. Joique Bell really came on towards the end of the season and cemented himself as a guy that needs to be on this roster. Not as an every down back, but as a guy that can be very productive with a specific role. This team needs to obviously shift a little bit to a more powerful running game. How many times would we complain and get upset and get frustrated when it'd be like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and they'd pass the ball? That's not efficient. That's not conducive to winning football. You need to line up with a fullback, power run, get the first down by running, play a higher percentage. And that's what I think Jim Caldwell and the staff is trying to do, is maximize the statistical advantage that we have. If it's 3rd and 2, then hey, you need to run the ball and take advantage of it.
But
And
wait. Isn't this Lions offense supposed to be reminiscent to what goes on in New Orleans? And don't they throw the ball all over the park in New Orleans?
I do, but I think they want to throw the ball all over the park within a 10-yard window.
I got you.
Lots of screens, lots of safe dink and dunk passes, lots of
I like how I laid that trap down and you just totally sidestepped it. Good job, my man. Good job.
You know it.
Look at that.
They want to limit the turnovers, and Matthew Stafford in this season is going to have to show, hey, can I take the necessary steps to take the chances when I need to, but at the same time back away and be safe and throw the 5-yard out and get safe yards and safe plays. More positive plays than risky plays. I don't think you're going to see big 50-yard passes all over the field. Yes, they're going to take more chances. You have Golden Tate and you have Calvin Johnson, but at the same time, when that's taken away, when you have good defenses that can take away your best wide receivers, then you go dink and dunk down the field with Joique Bell, with Amir Abdullah, with your fullback, and you kind of forward down the field 5 yards at a time.
I like what you did there, too.
Yeah, forward down the field.
This has been like the best segment yet.
5 yards at a time, baby. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to look more reminiscent of New Orleans without so much deep passes. And that's just, I think the question is, can we as Lions fans look at the TV and see our Detroit Lions run the ball 20 to 25 times a game and win? As of now, in early May, I don't have the confidence they can actually execute that, but I want to see it. I want to see them go up in a football game, go up against Kansas City, smash mouth football, run the ball 25, 30 times, and have over 150 yards average every single game. Let Matthew Stafford throw for 200 yards and only 1 touchdown. Maybe make him a little bit more like Trent Dilfer than Drew Brees. And I think that's what the coaching staff is thinking, like, okay, if we want to win the Super Bowl, can we win it with Matthew Stafford being like Drew Brees or being like Aaron Rodgers where he throws it 50 times? Or if we just scale it back a little bit, give him a little bit more balance, have a little bit tighter reins on him, then we can get more success. And I think that's what Jim Caldwell thinks. Whether that's correct, time will tell. But I think Stafford's numbers are going to go down this year. The offense is going to be more efficient.
Dude, they better become, with all the pieces they've invested in the power run game, they better become a power run team. And being able to open it up with Matthew Stafford's arm and being able to throw the ball all around is nice, and it's great to have that. But with everything you just invested up front and in that backfield, you now have to be able to go out there and put your money where your mouth is, and you have to be able to run this ball. When it's 3rd and 1, when it's 3rd and 2, you need to be able to line up in the eye, and you need to be able to power through for 3 yards at a time. And a guy like Joique Bell, who you said is going to see probably 60% of the carries, and I totally agree with you on that. He's probably going to see 60, maybe 65% of the carries. A guy like Theo Riddick, who is now coming into, his 2nd or 3rd year, and now you've got Abdullah coming in as a rookie. These guys need to have a yards per carry somewhere north of 4. You can't be getting it done with subpar 3s or 3.9 like they had last year. You just can't do it. It's not allowed anymore. You've got too many pieces up front, and you've got too many guys who have been brought in for the sole purpose of opening up lanes for you to get through. So now those guys have to do their job, and you have to do your job as well.
Let's think out loud for a minute. What is the NFL shifting towards now as a league? More offense, more points, more flash and pizzazz to get the fans involved. And now the Lions are kind of going opposite that and kind of shifting a little bit. So it's kind of interesting that the teams that are really successful, Green Bay, New England, Seattle, all have quarterbacks that can basically do a whole hell of a lot. And I think the Lions are looking at that and going, where do we slot in? Let's move towards running the ball a little bit more.
But all those teams that you mentioned, they all have running backs who have no problem picking up yardage. Eddie Lacy, Mark Ingram, Beast Mode. I don't know why it was slow to come to me, but all those guys, you can hand the ball off to them, and they can run the ball at least 25 times a game, if not more. So you're absolutely. Maybe they're going to more of a balanced structure, which I like. I think you like. We've been calling for that for quite some time now.
You know, I'm starting to think now. You know what? I'm starting to think that while we are sitting here saying that Joique Bell is not the every down back, I think they may have confidence in him in that. Hey, we give him a beefier offensive line, and we give him 60%. He can get us 7 to 9 yards every 3 downs, and then we can, when we want to mix it up, we'll throw a screen in there, and then we'll throw to Golden Tate. And I see that. You know what? The biggest piece is going to be Joique Bell. how he does running the ball behind this offensive line. If he can get 4 to 5 yards on average running, we can have some success. So I think Joique Bell and Matthew Stafford are going to be big keys, as well as the offensive line. Thinking about it now.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. So do you like this team now more than you liked them when we were putting our picks together a couple weeks ago, where you had them 8-8 and I had them in 7-9? Because when we were going through that, I mean, it was looking pretty bleak. No,
I think that the team has improved. Yes, they've addressed some needs, but I just think when you lose a guy like Ndamukong Suh, you really have blown a hole in through that defense. But can they repair it with these guys? Sure. The scheme and with the improvement of the players already on the roster, with an improved Van Noy, with Stephen Tullett coming back, with DeAndre Levy, with the corners that they currently have. The defense was number 2 last year, and how much of a fall-off is going to happen because of Suh's gone, we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe that this team is going to be competitive in most games, just like the majority of the NFL. I think right now we're at a point with the Lions where I don't see too many games where a team is going to line up against us and blow us out of the water. A couple games you see that, but the majority of games are going to come down to key plays in the fourth and who makes them. I like Coach Caldwell. I like the philosophy that he's trying to instill with these guys and being high character. Let's just now see how this team how these new players will fit in, and how the Lions will adjust to Caldwell and Lombardi the second year. We should see some improvement overall as a team, as a defensive and offensive unit, and especially special teams. You also discount Amir Abdullah's abilities as a special teamer. The reason why the Lions were high on him.
Hold on to the ball.
Yeah, if he can hold on to the ball.
If he can hold on to the ball. It's hard catching the ball when you got 2 gunners running at you ready to take your head off, and you got tiny hands that are bobbling a friggin' oblong-shaped object.
The reason why Amir was the guy for them is they wanted a guy not only to be a guy that can come in as a running back, that can be a piece or someone they can slot in there on special teams too. And with that caveat, I think that's why they picked him. I like this team. I like the way it's going. I have hope going into the 2015 season.
I think I like this team now more than I did a few weeks ago. That being said, instead of them being 7-9, I maybe have them at 8-8. They'll probably do better than that. They'll probably finish 9-7, maybe 10-6. Maybe they do get into the playoffs. And that's purely based on this offense looking totally different than what we've seen the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah. Especially underneath Matthew Stafford. It looks totally, it has to look totally different. It has to become a more run-orientated football team. And I'm not saying that they have to be in the top 5 for rushing yards, top 5 for rushing touchdowns, but they have to be somewhere in that mid-15 range. Now, they can't be at 28 looking up at everybody else. They've got to be somewhere in the middle of the pack. They've got to be more balanced, and they've got to be able to, like you said, pick up those key third downs when it's third and short. They got to be able to do it. That makes me excited to see that. I'm still very upset with this draft, and I don't like them passing on a lot of the value that they passed on.
Ooh, I can't wait till minicamp. I can't wait till the preseason. I can't wait for Lions football to kick off. But we broke down the draft as best we could. Stay with us after the break. We're going to play a round of Jock Jams, get some opinions from the Jock regarding some other sports topic. DocNJock, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. If you're a fan of Michigan, then you have to check out UofMDiehards.com. Check them out on Twitter. Check out their Facebook page. They are a page that's dedicated to all things University of Michigan. They follow every game. They follow recruits. They have great interviews. UofMDiehards.com. Doc and Jock, check out that website quite a bit. If you're a fan of Michigan, there's no better website to check out than UofMDiehards.com.
I'm Go Blue, baby.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Lots of ways to support us here at the podcast. If you like what you're listening to, if you enjoy the podcast, if you want us to continue to provide great content every Monday and Thursday, if you want us to continue to take phone calls, just go to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links. Lots of great online deals. I know everybody that's listening likes to save money. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links, bookmark them, and every time you shop online, nothing extra happens. You get charged no more money. But when you shop online through DetroitSportsPodcast.com, they kick us back a little something, and we can continue to provide great content. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We greatly appreciate it. Yes, sir.
You ain't gotta say too much. Hate when you say that I play too much. When I get too close, I'ma touch that subject. I could read your body. Enough said.
DetroitSportsPodcast.com, Doc and Jock. Welcome back. Cuz, you know who's laughing all the way to the bank?
Money Mayweather?
Money Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao.
Dude.
Walking away from Las Vegas with over $200 million in checks. And what did they do to bring back the sport of boxing? They all but killed it with their performance. Now more news has come out that Manny Pacquiao is going to need surgery, that he had a torn rotator cuff, that he has an injury similar to Kobe Bryant, and blah, 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 blah. But in a sport that needed that fight, everyone was gathered, everyone was talking, casual fans were excited. They absolutely dropped the ball, and in my opinion, killed the sport of boxing with their performance on last weekend. It was not a great fight. It was boring, but really, if you thought about it and you watched boxing, if you had any kind of knowledge regarding how Floyd Mayweather fought, you knew this is what was going to happen. So in my opinion, I dropped $5 whole, so I was entertained for the night, tweeting, listening, watching who was there, the ambiance. So for me, it was all good. But for everyone else that was trying to, get excited and get hyped over a fight, it just didn't happen. And now this week, Money Mayweather even slightly cracked the door open to say, hey, I would fight Manny Pacquiao again.
You knew that was coming.
I didn't know. I
knew it was coming.
I was thinking, hey, he's going to cash $100 million and walk away. And
No. There's too much money to be made on retribution.
My man,
dude,
based on their performance, did they kill boxing? And would you sit down on a Saturday night and watch Mayweather Pacquiao 2?
I probably would. And I say
Why?
that. Yes, I say that very hesitantly because that was an awful fight. It was brutally boring. It was very underwhelming. You know what Mayweather is. I thought we were going to get a lot more from Pacquiao. I wasn't expecting like a Mike Tyson punch, or a Mike Tyson fight where they just come in and they just start punching and just bludgeoning each other. I didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be very tactful like it was, but that fight was lame. It was boring. There was nothing really good. They said Manny Pacquiao connected with 31 punches? I mean, seriously? Honestly? No way. I think it was 81 punches is what they said he connected with. I mean, that breaks down to 6 a round, bro. 6 punches in a round? That's horrible. It was boring. Yes, I probably would watch a second one. I don't think I'd pay $100 for a second one. I would watch it just based on the intrigue because the way they would bill it is you're going to get a healthy Manny Pacquiao. You're going to get a guy who wants revenge, who wants to sit there and upset the record of Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd at that point will probably be 49-0, tie Rocky Marciano. So what has he got to lose because he's already in the record books, right? So does Pacquiao take it to him one more time? And is it best 2 out of 3? And does Pacquiao win? You don't know. You have to tune in and see. So I probably would.
Nope, I'm good.
Boxing's totally dead, though.
Yeah.
That was the only salvation. It's gone, bro.
Nothing.
I used to like boxing as a kid, too. I used to watch it a lot. Used to watch it a whole lot. It's dead.
Dead. Worse than dead. I think when you have the whole nation watching and you put on that performance, yeah, it took boxing a few steps back and helped the UFC and professional wrestling that much more.
Dude, they were the 2 flag bearers for the sport. You're just sitting there scratching your head what am I really watching here? You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what that was.
Isaiah Thomas, local legend here in Detroit, made some news earlier this week, hired as the president of the WNBA New York team. I don't even know what the name of is the New York Liberty, I believe is what it's called. I don't follow the WNBA at all. I know Bill Lambier's there. I know Swin Cash is in the league. And now I know Isaiah Thomas is the president of the New York Liberty. But a lot of controversy was sparked because a few years back, early 2006 or 2007, he got into a lawsuit regarding some sexual harassment issues, and Madison Square Garden took the brunt of it and paid out well over $11 million to the woman who filed the sexual harassment claim. Everyone that's talking is just basically ripping James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks, saying, why on earth would you hire someone, bring him back to an organization that had to pay out $11 million because of some actions that took place? Was this hire the worst hire you've ever heard of in professional sports?
Probably, yeah. I mean, that's like going out and hiring the Grand Wizard from the Ku Klux Klan and making him the the NCAPP, whatever it is, making him the leader of that. You know what I'm saying?
NAACP.
There you go. That's exactly what it's like, dude. You can't do this. This guy totally sexually harassed all the women in the office of the New York Knicks, man.
Allegedly.
Dude, seriously.
Allegedly.
Seriously. Seriously. You know the real deal. We all know the real story. You know Isaiah was up in that office dropping pens like, oh, can you get my pen for me, sweet thing? And she'd bend over and he'd look up her dress. Come on, bro. You know the deal. You know how Isaiah gets down. Isaiah's ruthless, dude. That guy's like straight killer, and he's a perv, too. He's trying to get all up in them jeans, just sitting there looking at girls just bend over and do nasty things for him. Come on, dude. And he was sitting there talking all kinds of sweet cheeks, all kinds of sweet shit to him. Like, come on, sweet cheeks. Come on, get this for me. Fill up my cup. You know I like my coffee like I like my women. Strong and black. Get that for me, girl. And then it'd be a Latino girl. You know how I like my coffee, girl. Like, apparently he likes coffee all kinds of ways, just like he likes all his women all kinds of ways. You know I like my coffee, girl. Extra mocha. Real creamy. Like your thighs. Oh, yeah, a little bit spicy, too, because I know you're fiery. Uh-huh. You know he was in there doing that, dude. That's how he rolls, dude. Isaiah's a perv like that. This was like the stupidest thing he could possibly... I mean, he runs the Knicks like he's just a giant idiot. So why is he not going to run the Liberty the same exact way?
Totally out of touch. It's unbelievable how out of touch he is. And for Isaiah, why would he take this job? I know he might be jealous that his boys that he played with, like Magic Johnson, like Michael Jordan, like Larry Bird, are way higher up in terms of executives in the NBA. But you got a cushy 6-figure job at NBA TV. You sit there, all you do is call up radio stations and be like, man, Cleveland needs to play better. Man, Steph Curry's amazing. What more do you need in life? I mean, how big is your ego that you feel like you need to be in management that bad that you would go to the New York Liberty? And if the name's wrong, I don't know. I don't follow the WNBA. I'll never watch it.
It's the New York Liberty.
New York Liberty.
Yes,
okay.
You're right.
I'll never watch it. I don't care who's running it. I'm never going to watch women's basketball. And Isaiah Thomas, if this is how you feel, you're going to get back in the NBA, thumbs down, bro. You should have just stayed with the job that you had. I don't think this is going to be a good fit. And by the time this airs, the WNBA might already shoot it down because it's a PR nightmare. How are you going to try and get a board of women to approve you as president of a team when you did what you did? Come on now. You have to have some self-awareness. Do these guys have any self-awareness?
No.
None.
They're professional athletes. They live in their own
And organizations, too. If my organization paid out $11 million for anything based on one employee, he's never coming back. He never existed. I would never talk to him, but everyone says James Dolan and Isaiah Thomas are like close individuals, and he wants them around. And good luck with that, Firestorm. And New York media, they're going to dig.
Love it.
They're going to dig.
So here's a question for you. So say the point guard of the LA Sparks, that's the LA franchise for you. So say she's looks like one of the chicks on like our Instagram account of the week. So if she looks like that, you're not watching?
No.
What?
The girls can't shoot. I mean, okay, I can't say this based off of facts because I've watched maybe 5 minutes.
I'm
my
watching
whole life.
all that, dude. I'm
You're watching
her
it?
run up and down the court, jump around,
I'm
down.
just not a fan. I guess I'll be respectful. I'm not a fan of the WNBA. Never will be. I like basketball at its highest level, and that's just the way it is.
Dude, women's basketball at its highest level, bro. Doesn't get any higher than that.
Doesn't get any higher?
No, I mean unless you're smoking 9 blunts. It's the only way it's getting higher. That's it, dude. You don't watch like college softball?
No.
Oh, dude, I watch all that too. I love that.
You like all women's sports, huh?
Yes.
Women's tennis and women's golf.
I don't
attention.
watch women's tennis. I will watch women's golf if Holly Saunders is playing. I do love summertime when there's like absolutely nothing on. Like that small stretch where all sports are dead because the Major League All-Star game just took place. So there's like nothing going on.
That's when you catch women's sports.
Oh, dude, I just sit there and I just wig out on women's softball on ESPN. Great. Watching like the Arizona State play UCLA.
Oh my gosh,
Check it
unbelievable.
out, bro.
All right, moving on. We got to talk a little bit about the Red Wings, not the main club, but when you look at Grand Rapids, one of the big players that we're all evaluating is Anthony Mantha, 20 years old, kind of had a setback with the broken fibula that cost him 2 months of his season, but his first season in the AHL, massive struggle. Coming from the league where he played in, where he had over 50 goals, he, in 62 games, only cracked like maybe 30 or so points, like 18 goals, 16 assists.
I think it was 15 goals, yeah. It was not good. Bad season.
Everyone says it's been struggling because the AHL is a men's league. That's a badass league. In the league he was before, they didn't play as much defense, so he could skate in and score 50 goals, do that. Now he stepped up into major competition, and he's only got like 1 point in the playoffs so far for Grand Rapids. You would think that the members of the organization would take a more PC, more politically correct approach, a safe approach when talking about Anthony Mantha, not Jimmy Devellano. Jimmy Devellano was interviewed, and he basically used the word epic disappointment to describe him. A lot of people are talking like, whoa, still a little early, still his first season. Mantha still's kind of got to fill out a little bit. He's adjusting now to life in the AHL. And if by chance you wanted to trade him, blasting him like that just kills his trade value. That's just my opinion. I can't believe that Jimmy Devellano really would go out in public and blast the Red Wings' #1 star player. But what were your thoughts on Jimmy Devellano and his comments regarding Anthony Mantha?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a splash of cold water to Anthony Mantha's face. Just like, hey, you need to wake up. It's very rare that you ever see, especially from the Red Wings, that you ever see a front office exec like Jimmy Devellano. He's held in the highest regards in the Red Wings brass. Come out and say something so disparaging about a player, basically calling him a girl, saying, hey, he needs to man up. This is a big boys league, and he needs to put his pants on the way we all do, one leg at a time, and get out there and play and perform. I think the best thing that really came out of it, though, was Anthony Mantha came out and said, he's absolutely right. He's like, I've underperformed, but that being said, I'm going to do better. He said he's going to do better. So I like this whole interaction. I think this is great. I think it's cool when you see a front office exec come out and say something like this. And when this came across, it was titled, what was it? It was Red Wing exec says negative things about star player. And Anthony Mantha at this point is not a star player. He was supposed to be the second coming of Christ. He was supposed to be our Sidney Crosby. It doesn't look like it's going to pan out that way. But if you can get something productive out of him, you can at least get a second line center out of him. Great. But for Anthony Mantha to sit there and take it the way he took it, stand up and be a man and say, he's absolutely right. I'm going to be better. I love that. It shows that everybody's on the exact same playing field. They know where everything is at. Everything's above board. It's not like somebody's talking bad about somebody's mama and somebody found out and now it's just, gloves off, let's scrap it out. It's not like that. Jimmy D says, hey, you need to play better. You've been playing like a P word, man up. And Anthony Mantha's like, you're right. I've been playing like a P word. I need to man up, and I'm going to do better. I love it, dude. I think it's great. I think it's outstanding.
Great round of Jock Jams. You brought the noise, as always, looking at some of the important topics all around the sporting landscape. Good job, Jock.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Yeah, stay with us. After the break, we are going to hit on the Tigers, and then to end the podcast, we're going to chat with Jeff Deacon from the Detroit Sports Nation. Doc and Jock, episode 91, Detroit Sports Podcast.com. Definitely check out the guys at the Detroit Sports Nation, DetroitSportsNation.com. Great website. They are unbelievable. They are killing it on Facebook. Give them a like at their Facebook page, Detroit Sports Nation, and definitely check out their website, DetroitSportsNation.com. Our collaboration with them has been excellent, and they continue to be a strong presence here on the podcast because they bring the noise and they have great content. So thank you guys again. We can't thank you enough.
You're the future of our business, and I know when you guys have a podcast like this, our future is in good hands.
You got to check out their stuff. I mean, I'm really impressed by it. You guys have probably one of the better ones I've seen in the country.
Wow.
In a short period of time, you've done good work. Look at me kissing your hand.
I know.
Hip-hop. Hip-hop. Man, cuz what a challenging week for our Detroit Tigers.
Hip-hop's dead, bro. Hip-hop's dead.
What are we going to say about our Detroit Tigers?
They're dead, too.
We got some. No, they're not dead. They're still playing very well in the AL Central. Because we're playing the teams predominantly in the AL Central, we have a chance to rack up some wins. But we've had, a little bit of a struggle lately with some of the players on the team. The Tigers aren't firing on all cylinders. There's some things that we have to look at real quickly to kind of break it down and get a sense of what the heck has happened. Victor Martinez, he just kind of needs to be put on the DL. JD is mired in a slump. Hopefully tonight he breaks out of it versus Chicago. Shane Green's kind of come back to earth. Simon's kind of been rocked a little bit. The bullpen is still a little bit shaky, and the Tigers have kind of been playing 500 baseball as of late, and not playing that great.
I want to talk to you something about the little picture we made and the whole thing with the bullpen. Is that like the Doc and Jock curse working in reverse? Because we sent that out on Friday, and if you guys haven't seen it, go to Detroit Podcast on Twitter and check it out. It's pretty interesting. We did some fun stuff with Photoshop and the bullpen, making fun of them and how they're like the bad news bears of all major league bullpens, just a catastrophe going off in the background. Anyways, we sent that out Friday, and basically since then they won games. I mean, they lost the other night, but that wasn't because of the bullpen. That was because of the starting pitching. And when Green did get yanked 2 2/3 in, You got real nice long relief. They were able to basically finish that game, not giving up any more runs. So is this the Doc and Jock curse working in reverse? Did we fix the bullpen?
Yeah, maybe we did.
We fixed the bullpen, bro.
Alex Wilson kind of came in when Shane Green struggled and kind of, stopped the pain. He did okay, Alex Wilson versus the White Sox. But I also wanted to say that it gets canceled out because we praised JD Martinez, and we're like,
true.
So next week's podcast we should bring in some incense or something to kind of change up the flow, because every player we were like, oh, we love Shane Green, oh, we love Vmart, oh, we love JD Martinez, and what's happened? Every single player on the Detroit Tigers that we've talked about and said, "Ooh, this could be something great," they've slumped.
Or in the case of the bullpen, they look like they're ready to their ship. All right, it's only been like 1 or 2 games, so we can't go that far. But you're absolutely right. JD Martinez and his batting average, hey, bro.
Nosedive.
You need to go the other way. This isn't golf. Like, you need to hit the ball more, and not less.
And when you start watching, dude doesn't walk. I think the last time he doesn't want to take pitches. He's swinging everything. He just needs to maybe get on base.
He thinks he's a home run hitter. Didn't you know? He's got the last name Martinez. All right, the one guy who sits there and has like cybernetic legs, who's kind of like rolling around in his Vespa out there. That guy, he thinks he's like that guy. He's not.
Should we be worried about JD?
I think there's cause for concern because it's just like you said. He doesn't walk. It would be cool if he was a power hitter and he sat there and he cranked the home runs he hit, and he sat there and he hit the RBIs he hit, and his on-base percentage was better. But his on-base percentage is in the toilet, and the guy's batting like 240 right now. I mean, I don't need you to be a 300 hitter, but I need you to hit somewhere north of the Mendoza line. Can you hit something close to 270? That's all I'm asking. And just get on base. Like, just take a walk, bro. Like, if it's way outside and high, you don't need to swing at that. It's okay. And if it's way down in the dirt, it's not cricket. I don't need you to go swinging at that either.
And it's one of those things, though, where teams know that Vmar is not firing on all cylinders, so they're pitching to him more. He's not seeing he's not seeing as quality of pitches as he has before. I just think also, too, Miggy's locked in. He's been playing very well.
Dude, he's a beast.
He's a beast, always will be. It's just Victor Martinez right now is not really helping the lineup. He's got no power. He's struggling. It's really kind of painful to watch when you see him running up the bases. He's hobbled. He just looks really kind of old and out of it. It's really sad. They should just really, right now, take advantage of the schedule and let him sit on the DL. Put him on the DL. Let someone else come in and try and fill in offensively. Alex Avila has been steady and has been a solid bat in that lineup. The Tigers are playing well. I mean, after the 2 games versus Kansas City, the first 2, you thought, oh, this isn't looking good. Kansas City is going to dominate us.
I thought for sure they're winning 3 out of those 4.
Anibal Sanchez, David Price, the starters. Anibal Sanchez just deals against Kansas City. He's like, oh, I got Kansas City. Boom. He locks in 7 innings strong, lots of strikeouts. His fastball has more life. He just loves pitching against Kansas City. And to get that split, righted the ship, made everything okay in that series to get the split like we talked about. I thought that was the best case scenario, and it kind of shook out how we thought. They took the first 2. We got the last 2. And now we're playing Chicago, a team that we should really play well against. Hopefully we play better than the first game, and we take this series because another series is upcoming versus Kansas City. At home, at Comerica, should be much better for us. I'm more confident that the Tigers are going to play well in this next homestand. I think they're going to play okay, and they're going to give teams a run for their money. Now, another issue that kind of
better, I mean, they're playing Kansas City, and they're playing the Twins. You need to mollywop the Twins, and hopefully you win 2 out of 3 from the Royals to get back at the top of the Central.
Yeah. Now, as we record this podcast, good news. JV had his MRI and he kind of went on Twitter and Instagram and was like, green light, green light. So he's sending out cryptic messages. But
that's totally counterintuitive to what he was doing the other day on Instagram.
Let's talk about that.
Just frying fans.
JV is kind of attuned to what people are saying, like, oh, really? You're tweeting out pictures of you and your girlfriend going to steakhouses, and you're concerned about the haters. And he's kind of taken a stand. I think he's made a new fan out there in LA.
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
JV, why are you so worried about what the fans think of you? Dude, every week, on average, 500,000 plus he cashes as a check.
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
And he's sitting there beefing with the fans. Who cares? Cash your check. This is one guy that should just stay off of Instagram. I was this close to tweeting something. I did tweet a picture of him earlier on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. I said, I'm back, y'all.
Did you tweet the picture of her back with him all over it?
No.
You should have tweeted that to him.
Yeah. I don't understand, JV. Just focus. Yes, because you haven't put pictures of your rehab, people are talking. That's just the way it is. You're never going to beat the fans. You're never going to beat the Twitter trolls. So what do? You become one. You're becoming a troll, and that's really interesting from a guy that we're dropping $250 million on. You shouldn't be a troll. I understand it's not right for people like myself and others to comment on your injury status, but that's just what we do. If you're going to try and defeat us, good luck with that. I think there's many more of us than there are of you. So just please come back strong. Let us cheer for you. Go about your life. We don't need to hear all about where you're going in terms of steakhouses. And plus, it's really ridiculous. If you tweet out, hey, I just went to a steakhouse, you might get some crazies that follow you. You don't need to be reporting where you're at and what you're doing because you are a public figure. You are a wealthy figure. There are crazies out there, and they might take it to a different kind of level. So just stay off of Twitter, stay off of Instagram, focus on your rehab, and let's get some wins for our Tigers.
Yeah, this is what athletes don't get, and this is what regular people don't get. Athletes see the world totally different because they're billionaires, right? They're loaded with money. And regular people, you don't see the world the way athletes see it because you're not that. So everybody who gets upset with him not sitting there rehabbing his elbow or his tricep or whatever he's doing, he's out having a good time with Kate Upton and they're at a steakhouse, just let him be. Let him do what he's doing. And Justin, you've got to be better than that. You got to rise above that, dude. Like, who cares? Who cares? You can walk around with $1 million crammed in both your ears and sticking out of your ass, and it's going to be okay because you're loaded, dude. You're supposed to be the ace of the Detroit Tigers. This is a baseball town. People love you here. They just want you to get better and get you back out on the field so you can perform. So just do your thing. You don't have to be sitting there tweeting and Instagramming pictures of yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Don't do those things. Just focus on what's important and what's in front of you at the time. And generally right now, because you're not playing baseball, that's Kate Upton. So pay attention to that and all that ass that's in front of you. And as far as people go, just let him do his thing. Like, come on, man. Like,
I want to bring up a point,
Let's be honest.
I want to bring up a point. You have to, and like we've talked about in several podcasts and like we did earlier, you have to be self-aware. You have to be aware that people are wondering, where have you been? How are you doing in your rehab? Even if you aren't like spending 24 hours in the chamber or doing rehab, tweet that out there. Oh, exhausted, got to get to bed early from rehab today. Just tweet it out there because there's one thing that, in terms of public relations, that you need to be aware of. Perception equals reality. If people perceive that you are slacking off, then that's their reality. So even if you're not rehabbing 24/7, sprinkle that out there. Sprinkle that out there a little bit. Less of this your social life and a little bit more of your baseball life. That's all we care about. If you think people care about what steakhouse you eat at and what cars you drive and what trips you're taking with your beautiful model girlfriend, we really don't. All I really care about is how are you rehabbing? What's your MRI look like? Are you cashing your checks? Are you going to live up to that contract? At least half of it? I mean, we don't want this contract to look like the worst contract ever given to a pitcher. So we don't need you sitting on a bed telling us, hey haters, I'm chilling out now. Come on, you're just rubbing it in our face, and we don't need that. We just need you to get back on the field, be productive, and be respectful. So don't use Twitter to be like the fans, because that's what he's doing. You're acting like what a fan would do, So you're above that. You're a multi-million-dollar athlete. Get back on the field and handle your business. That's what we need. Because I'm looking right here. A crazy fan of the Tigers is looking at this schedule. KC, Minnesota, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Houston, who's playing well, Oakland, the LA Angels, and a series against Oakland to open June. That's not easy. We're going to need some more reinforcements, so we're going to need you. That schedule looks brutal, so I look forward to our Tiger Talks down the line. But we need your help. We need you to be an important part of this starting rotation. All right, Jeff Deacon has dialed us up. We're going to chat Tigers and Red Wings with him. Jeff Deacon from the Detroit Sports Nation coming right up.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.
All right, on the line as promised, Jeff Deacon from the Detroit Sports Nation. Kind enough to give us a few minutes chatting some Detroit sports, talking about the Red Wings and Tigers. Jeff Deacon, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you, Down?
Oh, man, everything good here in Detroit is all good, my friend. Great to be talking to you again. Now, the funny thing was, when we were chatting beforehand, you had said, you know, Doc, I haven't been following the Tigers too much out here in Arizona. And I said, what? What's that all about?
Yeah, it's, I'm a hockey fan first, and even though the Wings are out, I love the action of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's tough for me to get into baseball mode until mid-June. And then after that, I'm all Tigers. But don't get me wrong, love the Tigers to death, but I just love the intensity of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Gotcha. So we'll start with the Red Wings. Obviously, disappointing to go out first round to Tampa Bay, and what a matchup they got versus Montreal. I mean, they just own Montreal right now. They're playing very well, scoring a lot of goals on Carey Price. But just talk about your wrap-up thoughts regarding the Red Wings 2015 season.
Yeah, I thought they had a good year. I think a lot of the young guys took a pretty big step into becoming regulars. Guys like Riley Sheahan and Gus Nyquist, Thomas Tatar leading the team in scoring. He had a fantastic year. I also think we saw a lot of growth from guys like Peter Mrazek, who was, a backup goaltender for most of the season with Jonas Gustafsson out, but he kind of rode the bench for most of the year, and then kind of jumped up into the spotlight come playoff time. And I think he kind of won over the starting job. And I think there'll be a pretty big battle in training camp next year for that number one job. But overall, I think they did pretty well. Kept the playoff streak alive. But the good old question is it enough to keep fans interested? Fans want cups. They don't want playoff streak to keep going, but they want the playoff streak to keep going, but they want cups. They don't want to keep losing in the first round like they have been in the past few years. So that'll be the next step the Wings have to take.
Now, obviously, one of the big storylines is who is going to be the next head coach. Is it going to be Mike Babcock? Is he going to return, or is he going to test free agent waters? Just your sense of what's going to happen this offseason. Based on your gut, is Mike Babcock going to return and be the head coach in the 2016 season for the Red Wings?
I've gone back and forth on speculating what Babcock will do when he becomes a free agent coach on June 30th. After his comments following the Game 7 loss, it seemed like he was 100% gone, already had 1 foot out the door, but the dust kind of settled a little bit, and lately he's been seen at Grand Rapids Griffins games and traveling with Ken Holland. They're even expected to go overseas together for the World Championships, where the Wings' top prospect, Dylan Larkin, is playing for Team USA. Now, to me, in my opinion, I wonder that if he was certain he was leaving, why waste the time scouting Detroit prospects? Why make a trip overseas? Leave your family, leave your wife. Why make that trip to see the Red Wings' top prospect if you're planning on leaving the organization? I've gone back and forth, and I think it's a 50-50 toss-up right now. All I know is that a decision will be made by the draft. I think Ken Holland said that he wants this wrapped up by the end of the month. Honestly, I think it could go 50-50. I could see him staying, and I could see him leaving. I think there's pros and cons for both. So he's the best coach in the game, and that's why I think he'll stay. But it has been a rough couple of years for the Red Wings in the playoffs, and a breath of fresh air might just be what this organization needs. So in that sense, he might be on his way out.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, hey, listen, should Mike Babcock leave? You have Coach Blashill from Grand Rapids. He's been working with a lot of the young talent. He may come on in and be able to be that breath of fresh air and get these guys to the next level. Because obviously what we've seen here in Detroit is a lot of early round exits. I mean, I think since 2009 we haven't even gotten past the second round. So lots of exits, and here in Detroit we do have high expectations. And after 10 years, Mike Babcock, his voice may be a little bit stale, and maybe a change is needed. Do you think they should consider bringing him back?
That's a tough question. There is no better coach in the game. I think he's proven that. He's won at every level. But the fact of the matter is, one of the two are going to be gone from the organization, most likely this summer, either Blashill or Babcock. Blashill is going to get plenty of NHL offers, and I don't think he would stay in Grand Rapids for another year unless he was promoted to the Detroit job. So really, man, that's a tough question. Should they bring him back? He's the best coach in the game. Players know him. Players seem to like him. But again, it's a two-way street, and Babcock and Ken Holland have to find some kind of common ground to work with. Babcock wants to be the highest paid coach in the game. Are the Red Wings willing to step up to the plate when it comes to the salary? I don't think the salary is a huge issue when we're talking millions of dollars here, but also the other thing too is Babcock wants to win. Can he win with Detroit's talent right now? And that is the $1 million question. The Red Wings, quite frankly, it's kind of a weird business, but they win too much. they win too much and they don't get good draft picks. Look at every team in the NHL that's won the Cup the past 5 or 6 years. They were bad for a good period of time, and they stockpiled on draft picks. The classic example of that is Chicago. Chicago was horrible in the mid-2000s. Draft picks, they got Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews. Boom, there's your cornerstone for your franchise for the next 20 years, and they're well on their way to winning they could win their 3rd Cup since the last lockout. So does Detroit have the talent? It's going to be a big question for Babcock and when he makes this decision.
Recent news made by Jimmy Devellano in the front office for the Red Wings. He evaluated Anthony Manta's first season in the AHL with Grand Rapids and kind of, called him out and said, first season in the AHL, quite disappointing. What was your reaction to that, and what's your thoughts been on Anthony Mantha? Have you been keeping tabs on him down there in the minors?
Yeah, I kept an eye on him. I actually kept an eye on him in junior last year when we played in the Quebec League. But that was way out of character for Jimmy Devellano. Usually he keeps pretty quiet. You don't really hear his name too much in the papers and the media. So something must have really upset him. I have no idea what it was, but usually he's pretty good with the kids. And but comments like that are definitely a head scratcher. It's no secret that Mantha he's had a tough time transitioning from the junior level to the AHL level. At the beginning of the season, he started rough with his leg injury in the Traverse City Prospect Camp, and everyone thought he'd be up playing for the Red Wings by November or December, but that obviously didn't happen. And he struggled to score goals the first half of the year. And whether that's just transitioning to a new league, better players, that's definitely a possibility. Having said that, he did finish the year with some respectable numbers, but I think David Detroit was expecting him to bust out and become a superstar. And as I kind of just got done saying, those superstars aren't almost never available when the Wings are up drafting. So overall, Mantha, decent season in Grand Rapids, but I think the Red Wings are hoping that he would make a little bit more impact on the team and maybe challenge for a roster spot in Detroit. But it's pretty clear he needs at least another year or so down in Grand Rapids.
Jeff Deacon, DetroitSportsNation.com, joining us on the Doc and Jock podcast. Jeff, lots of great teams left. Teams like Chicago, Anaheim, Montreal, Tampa Bay, the Rangers, the Capitals. Lots of great teams left. I'm enjoying the remainder of the playoffs. Who do you think right now is your favorite to get to the finals? I would love to see Chicago, Tampa Bay. That would be an explosive series. I would think that would be probably one of the top series to watch. Who do you think?
Yeah, Chicago-Tampa would be an outstanding series. Right now, I think whoever wins the West will win the Cup. Chicago and Anaheim have been on cruise control through the playoffs, and I think those two teams have the best shot right now. Anaheim just lost last night to Calgary, but that was their first loss to playoffs. And Chicago right now, they're firing on all cylinders. Patrick Kane is just such a dynamic player, and right now the Blackhawks are getting outstanding goaltending from Corey Crawford. They're up 3-0 on Minnesota, and I don't see them. They're definitely not going to lose that series. So I think we're looking at a Chicago-Anaheim conference final. Anaheim has the veteran presence with Perry and Getzlaf, but I do question their goaltending with Frederik Andersen in net. He hasn't really done much in the playoffs, very little experience. And also Bruce Boudreau, their head coach, typically not a playoff coach, hasn't really done much in the second season. So right now, I think I give the edge to Chicago. I think we could be heading for a Chicago-New York or a Chicago-Tampa Cup final. I know the media and the NHL would love the Chicago-New York, the 2 of the 3 biggest TV markets in the U.S. But Chicago-Tampa, that would be just electric. The youth on Tampa combined with the electric skill from Kane and Toews in Chicago, man, that would just be incredible. What a great thing for hockey to have those two play in the Cup final. That'd be something. All
right, let's switch gears here, talk a little bit of Tigers before we get you out of here. The whole JV situation on social media, I'm sure you saw the blast. Hey, haters, haha, here I am. I'm resting. I am able to have a life, blah, blah, blah. What was your reaction to that, and do you think that the fans here in Detroit are riding him too hard or questioning him too much regarding his rehab? I just took it as, someone that is spending a little bit too much time reading what is being sent to him on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's anything to worry about. Fans act like all athletes do is work out, train, and play games, and they're human. I didn't really think too much of it. I think it's funny. I mean, Verlander's on the DL for the first time in his career, so he's never really felt this level of boredom, if you want to call it that. Injuries take time to heal, but let's just be happy that he's traveling with the team and staying in the clubhouse. A lot of players stay behind and rehab at home, but he's been going out with the team, and he's a great veteran presence and a great mentor to younger pitchers. Hopefully he'll come back soon and prove to people that he's worth the big contract he signed not too long ago. That's probably the biggest thing going against him right now is that contract, and he hasn't really lived up to it, at least in the last about a year and a half or so. But as far as his comments on social media, I mean, fans got to just kind of let that stuff go. It's nothing to be, throwing hissy fit about. It's players being players. They're competitors, and, someone's talking smack to them, they're willing to dish it right back. So I thought it was funny, and you can do whatever we want.
Gotcha, Jeff. Now, before I'll get you out of here on this, over there at DetroitSportsNation.com, a new feature you guys got over there that I really kind of like and I've kind of checked out. You guys are allowing fans to submit articles to the website and for review and for a chance to possibly get more exposure. Tell people who are maybe new to writing or new to sports coverage what they can do to be featured at the Detroit Sports Nation website.
Yeah, so our motto is we're built by the fans. Okay, we're a fan-based site. We're here for the fans, and we want the fans to be involved and let their voice be heard. That's really what our website is all about. So anybody, if they have comments about or thoughts, you don't need a writing degree. Certainly none of us have writing degrees. You do need to comprehend a somewhat clear sentence, but head over to our website, and there's a link at the top of the page where you can submit your own article for writing, and it can be seen by our over 135,000 fans on Facebook and almost 6,000 Twitter followers. Let your voice be heard. If you're upset about, move Brad Ausmus made in the lineup, or you're upset about Ken Holland signing Babcock again, or give us your thoughts on anything relating to Detroit sports. The Lions draft, what the Pistons need to do in the upcoming draft. Maybe you're tired of hearing about Jim Harbaugh. Whatever you want to hear, head over to our website and send us your article, and we'll check it out. Maybe make a few grammar fixes, if you want to call it that. We'll put it up on our website for all the world to see. It's a great place if any younger writers want to maybe have a degree in journalism. It's a great place to get started, and we've had plenty of people that have started writing for us and gone on to companies like TSN and NBC, and we're only getting bigger. So head over to our website, click on the link, and send us your article today.
DetroitSportsNation.com. Submit your articles. Jeff only denies the Doc's articles. That's it. Everyone else will get a fair shot. When Jeff sees the Doc, he's like, oh my God, dude, is all this guy do is just send us 5 sentences at a time every single day? I get it, Jeff. It's okay. I'm working to get approved by you onto the website. We're working on it. But everyone else will get a fair shot. Detroit Sports Nation.
I'm going to spend hours editing it. Don't worry.
Jeff, my man, thank you for giving us a few minutes. Check out his great work, DetroitSportsNation.com. Our collaboration with them, we love it. We absolutely love it. One of the best choices we've ever made. Thanks, Jeff. Have a good one.
You guys, buddy. Take care.
All right, Jeff Deacon. You can check out his work, DetroitSportsNation.com. He's a great Tigers and Red Wings editor and sometimes censor of the Detroit Sports Podcast. I got to do a better job of our descriptions, Jeff. Jeff's a funny guy. He's a good dude, and he's got a strong presence here on the podcast. Good podcast, cuz we broke it down with the Lions, with the Tigers, lots of news regarding sports. Good podcast. Went by too fast.
Told you it was going to be the greatest one ever, dude.
Episode 91 just flew by. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon.
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
This has been episode number 91 of the Detroit Sports Podcast. See y'all later.
Go Tigers.
I hear voices in my head. They count to me. They understand. They talk to me.